Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. We're coming to you live from Uyo, the capital of Akwa Ibom State. We're commemorating the 35th anniversary of the formation of the state. And now we're joined by His Excellency Udom Emmanuel, Governor of Akwa Ibom State. Good morning, and thank you for joining us today.
Good morning, Chamberlain. Good morning, Buki.
Good morning.
Good morning, Akwa Ibomites, wherever you're watching me from, all over the world. Congratulations for 35 years of existence as a state.
Well, yeah, it's 7 years plus for you in office, and you're winding down. And incidentally, if you look through all the dailies here, everything is talking about almost your party is all over the place. Does this in any way take away from what you're supposed to be focusing on today?
Well, once again, let me use this platform and say congratulations, Akwa Ibomites, anywhere you are across the globe. And at the same time, I appreciate all those who have supported us in the past 7 years plus, and the founding fathers, past leaders, both military and civilian administrators and governors of this state. I just want to say you guys did a good job. I'm just building on what people have done in the past. Coming back, Chamberlain, on what you're saying, how will this distract me? I try to be very focused on what I'm doing at that point in time. If you check, right now it's for 35 years, and also to try to let my people know in 7 years plus, what have we done as an administration. The campaign officially will open on September 28th. And I think from that time on, we'll take on campaign and then issues of campaign. But let me also say it. I mean, I could listen to your newspaper reviews. It's like PDP, 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 PDP. And I just want to say here, there's nowhere on planet Earth, even your teeth and your tongue, at times, there's always a little squabble. So let people not expect that where you have millions of people. This is the largest party in Africa. We're in every unit in this country. There's no unit you go to and mention PDP you won't have. So you could see that a whole lot of people coming in together is expected. And don't rule that out completely. And also this politics. You might hear us shouting today, tomorrow we'll be in bed together. So I don't think that should be an issue. These are issues that I'm sure, without me coming to discuss across the globe to people how we're going to tackle it, but I believe we're going to solve these issues as soon as possible. And we'll move on as a party. So I agree. You see, there's no human being without a mistake. All of us would have made mistakes in one way or the other. But what matters most, sitting back to agree that we've made a mistake, correct those mistakes, and then move on as a people. I think that will be the focus after my 35 years.
All right, well, we'll talk about that as we progress. But, you know, yes, development is key. That's why they all seek political offices to ensure that they bring development to the people. But you say, well, you started, that you want to tell the people how you fared in 7 years. How do you measure your success or how you performed? Is it from what you say to them, what you think you've done, or the feedback you get from the people?
It's all-encompassing, actually. You see, in life, it gets to a point, probably after 7 years, you must stop and reappraise. These were my set goals. Have I achieved those set goals? How much have I fared over these past years? That's number one. And what were those things that were under my control, which I did not do well with? What are those things that were outside my control that probably I could not influence? And because of that, it did not allow me to achieve my set goals. We're all human. It's absolutely impossible in a situation where you don't control the policies, where you can set all the goals and achieve it within the limits to which you have. But looking at feedback, even from opposition, you could hear them coming up to say that, look, we can score your administration up to 90%.
Opposition in Akwa State?
Oh, of course. Oh, we can score your administration up to 90%. So, I mean, these are things that people look at. And why do people look at it that way? Mind you, we came in 2015, 2016, 2017. Very major recession in this country. This administration that we've survived two major recessions, and then COVID-19 that came in for 2.5 years across the globe. Nobody could do anything. So when people are assessing, they are not just assessing in isolation. They are just looking at, in the face of, circumstances you faced as an administration, how have you fared? And I think feedback says that, the score was very high, but based on the blueprint, because you see, at times a lot of people don't prepare for leadership. We prepared for leadership. We prepared before we came into office. We had our blueprint before we came into office. I remember, I think in your last program when you people interviewed me, I said that I won election in March. By April, what we needed to do for things like Ibom Air to come on board, those documents were ready before even I was sworn in on May 29. So we prepared for office. We had our blueprint. Be that as it may, I must also say here that I cannot say that we've done all. I cannot say we are 100% okay. We still have a whole lot to do as a people. And why we don't control policies in most cases, there are certain things we would have done differently if we were to control those policies. There are certain things we would have done to achieve those things in a better way. But these are limiting factors and there's nothing you can do. So you must operate between what you can easily influence and allow to meet your set target and goals. But by and large, I think we've done well as an administration.
And congratulations, Your Excellency,
thank you.
On your 35th anniversary. Speaking of your achievements, your administration beats its chest in the area of industrialization when we look at the coconut oil factory, the plywood factory, the syringe factory, the metering company. Let's begin to talk about the value chain that has been created where these factories are concerned and the prospects,
Thank you, because you've tried to mention a few of them. If I want to take it probably subsector by subsector, if you come under the coconut, when we give analysis, because you see, whatever you do, you must carry along the grassroots. I was born to see a situation where coconut, whenever you mention coconut, the first thing people remember is coconut rice and how to chew coconut, eat coconut. I said, well, if you drive around this region, coconut can yield for 99 years and it's still yielding. The one my grandfather planted is still yielding. So I had to have a rethink. If God gave us something of this nature, it means there could be other uses. And by the time we research, we discovered that coconut has 365 uses, which means that when God created coconut, every day of your life, there's a use for coconut, 365. We said, well, it cannot just limit ourselves to only, eating coconut on day in there. So we tried to get into a research. And outside that, we're challenged because every day we can't ignore it. The whole world is telling you, look, it's coming to a point where your crude oil will not sell the way you're thinking today. And these estates, majorly our revenue comes from crude oil. So we now start to think, what are those other areas that God has blessed us with that we can actually derive revenue in the nearest future? And we need to diversify now. We need to think outside the box now. So if in our area you don't put fertilizer in coconut here, the soil naturally will give you the kind of yield you never expected. You don't do much. Just leave the coconut in the ground, come back. And I also want to say, not just coconut, even the palm trees you see here, over close to 90% of the palm trees you see in this region is planted by God. We just woke up and we saw it. And some of them have been there even during the time of our fathers and our forefathers. So what I'm trying to say is, a lot of these things have other uses, but it's only that at times we get a little bit laid back because we have crude oil, we have gas. No, but we want to come out of that now and find an alternative, and also find alternative sources of revenue. That's what actually challenged our minds. So we now say that, look, what is it like in the world market? That's when we discovered that a liter of virgin coconut crude oil goes for $6. And I think I'm not a mathematician, I think about 221 liters make what we call a barrel in comparison with the crude oil. So if you multiply that by 6, you know how much coconut fetches. As of today, palm oil in the international market is as high as crude oil. And there was a time palm oil was even much higher in terms of price. So how can we have all these things and then we don't find uses for them in order to earn revenue and also increase, the per capita? Because if you see a whole lot of our people, this one are things that will not give you any stress. What do you do to coconuts? So in terms of value chain, the village woman or that man inside the village who has coconuts can also plug that coconut, get the revenue from it. Once he gets to the factory, we'll give him money back. And he can use that money, pay school fees. The factory people will take the coconut, process it. Nothing is wasted in that coconut. Even though our main, pointer is towards the virgin crude oil. But if you get there, every single aspect, there's nothing that is thrown out of that coconut. Everything will have a sub-use. And if you look at that in terms of value chain, from the time that coconut comes out of the farm, and mind you, we're also doing a plantation. Our target was to bring in 2 million seedlings. As of today, we're well over 1 million. And sometime in October, we're doing another thing we call Coconut Day. We have that. We had it last year. We do it all the time. We are also launching another Coconut Day. Where in one day, the last time we did that, in one day, we planted 300,000 seedlings in one day. Distributed to secondary schools, to all local government areas, and then to also the ministry, each individual. On that same day, personally, I planted like 50 stands of the seedlings. So in one day, we just shared 300,000. And this year, we want to do 500,000. Reason being that if we can get onto 2 million seedlings, certainly the people we are going to import the hybrid, in the nearest future, they will also be coming to us. Mind you, some people, like Malaysia, I've read about it, came here, picked seedlings of our palm fruits, and today, they are major exporters of palm oil. So we're also looking at this. We can also replicate this as a state.
Where are you in your target? For the
in my target right now, I don't want to be exact because you don't know how many have survived. But in my target, based on what I have in the records, we are just slightly above 1 million. That's why we want to be a little bit more aggressive in our Coconut Day this October to do 500,000 seedlings. So that before I leave, we would have planted 2 million. Knowing fully well that the whole 2 million might not survive. But that factory uses 1 million nuts every day to process in 3 different shifts. And if you check the hybrid, it can sprout up to 4 or 5 bunches. Each bunch on the hybrid does about between 45 and 57 per bunch. And if it sprouts 4 bunches and then you do that, it means that with 1 million stand, you can easily feed that factory on daily basis without going outside to actually import, or probably from the local market. So what that will now do is that it will give us room as soon as possible to expand the capacity of, if not double it, and then meet the international market. And I believe it's going to be a major source of revenue earning and foreign exchange for the state.
Or virgin oil, the only offshoot of products that the factory will be processing? What are the other byproducts?
There will be feeds from there, animal feeds from there, from the chaff of those coconuts. Then if you check the chaff while they are trying to get it out of it, use that for carpets. Then there is another aspect in which even the shell is also crushed. And then people come to buy that for other uses. So there's from absolute begin to end, there's not even a single thing that is wasted. I'm sure if we went through all that process, there are a lot of, chemical processes that each of them can actually be used for. But for now, as a state, I'm only interested in the animal feeds and then the virgin crude oil. All others we sell as byproducts to the secondary markets so that they can actually use it, and then we still earn good money out of that. But we've not started exporting. If you look at those storage tanks, there's a particular tonnage we want to achieve before when we start the export. And then we also need ISO certification for our quality, so that we can actually achieve the competitive international prices. And this does not only stop with coconut. I don't know, we are doing similar thing to other areas, and I'm sure when the question directs towards that direction, I will get you across.
But Your Excellency, Akwa Ibom State is not new to industrialization. If you go back to the old Cross River State where you had the biscuit factory, the Kwa Steel, but what sustainability structure do you have in place? Because not much can be said of those industries anymore. So when you leave office in a few months, what is on ground to sustain?
Exactly this question you're asking me, all the journalists across Nigeria came and asked me. I think it was on Monday evening. He said, what solution do you have to get this sustained? Because you see the mistake we made in the past, and let me sit up to answer you that, was that we forgot that governance carry a whole lot. Like Akwa Ibom estimated population here is 7.9 million. You can't carry 7.9 million destinies, and then you don't look at somebody with a traceable, I use that word, traceable source or traceable, proof of hard work, which means that people we will look at over time as we run. And I also mentioned this in one of my interviews. I say, if you're looking for MD of channels today, oh my God, 2 pages of qualification of the MD of channels. Oh, it must BSc, PhD, this number of years of experience. He must have done this, he must have done that. Why do you do that? Because that channels is a going concern. You want channels to survive today, tomorrow, and the rest of them. So you look at, first of all, how do you build management team, which is also what I think we are beginning to learn in this part of the world. So a simple solution or simple answer to what you're saying is that who comes after me has a whole lot to do. Is he an entrepreneur? Does he have that entrepreneurial spirit? Has this person ever run a kiosk? Because I keep saying, so if you cannot run a kiosk, you cannot run a multinational. And if you cannot run a multinational, you cannot run a group of people like this. So it goes a long way to play out. So simple is that the man after me is an entrepreneur. The man after me has been running chains of businesses. The man after me had been in corporate world. He understands corporate governance. He understands risk management. And he understands the essence to keep this running. So the only solution there is we will be lucky this time around that the man after me is a businessman. He understands it.
Is that already decided? That has to be decided as a polls.
You see, even God spoke with faith. The Bible says he spoke those things as if they that were not, as if they are. So I have to speak in faith that the man after me should be able to possess those qualities.
The thing about this is that the people too have to decide who the person
they will.
At the end of the day.
They will, but I still have to speak with faith.
I understand that. But the thing about this is that much as successors, governors, they always say that, look, the mark of leadership is if you can get a good succession plan.
Correct.
Of people to follow through and ensure that things keep going. But how much of that can we as a system, a country, rely on? Because there are governors who may not even care or who comes afterwards. So shouldn't we extend that or develop that to the extent that the system naturally brings up those kinds of people such that you may not necessarily have to bother so much about who takes over? That succession or continuity comes naturally to us.
Simple. That's why some of us are in politics. When I came into politics, they say I'm a professional in politics. A lot of professionals ran away because they were talking about murky waters of politics. Who are those to come and clean the water? So we had to come in. And you know the level of bashing you take when you're in this side. So if nobody wants to, answer all sort of names, get through like the right people will never come in. So some of us had to be that guinea pig and then take the bold steps. And I believe we'll get that right. And you see, talking about succession plan, I just want to limit myself to my state. I think my state we've been blessed with the past leaders. So we've always have good leaders. And mind you, this is a state where we were created 35 years ago. You couldn't even have a major road. You couldn't have access road. You couldn't have a whole lot of things. But today, all those things are not done within 1 year. So that's why I give credit to all the past leaders. And when you're talking the issue of succession, mind you, Nigerians are getting more exposed. If you even listen to the outcry now, there are so many things that played well in the past that will not work in 2023. So many things. And I don't want to be specific about them so that I don't get misquoted. But so many things that played back in the past that you won't have in 2023. So I think we made mistakes in the past. We're trying to correct those mistakes. You'll be shocked that in so many states these days, I took pains the other time to go through the profile of some of those aspiring and even some of the candidates that a lot of states across the country is fielding up now. You see a whole lot of quality people. People that you can see, I talked about that trace of hard work in the past. People you know that at least these people have managed resources before and they know what it means. These people understand the basic critical success factors. Because I believe if you can manage 200, 500, 10,000 people in a corporate organization, management principles are basically almost the same. The only thing is you just, magnify on what you're doing and then take it on a larger scale and then try and see what you can do. And even though you might not always get it right in that way, it's a mixture of so many. Of course, that's why you have the cabinet. That's why you have the ESCO. That's why we have other people working with you. That's why in terms of politics and democracy that we are running, you have the executive, the legislature, and then the judiciary. So it's not just about you. And I just want to appreciate that the mindset of Nigeria now, the exposure that we're having now in terms of democracy in 2023 will be a different ballgame. People are going for quality. People are going for those who can deliver. If you've never delivered on the bottom line before, you wouldn't even appreciate that now. So a lot of things will change. And we need that paradigm shift in order to achieve where we're going to. Because when you're talking about succession plan, at times people try to be selfish or looking at me, forgetting that you are just one individual out of 7.9 million people. So what we are thinking about here is not about Udom. It's not about any other person. It's about the people. It's about the next generation. That's why I'm so confident, and I was speaking in faith also, that my people have come to realize that for us to move forward and build on the gains of the past administrations, that we will need somebody who has this background. Because I started by telling you that if Channels today is looking for an MD, go and check, will be up to 2 pages of who they are looking for. So in politics, people are also beginning to be aware of that. So if we need a successor to build on what other governors have done in the past, especially in the past 7 years, what we put on ground, the economic foundation we've laid. So apparently they are looking for somebody who can also be able to build on that. And they should be able to tell you, these are the qualifications of this person. And that's why I could speak confidently in faith too, that our people are aware. They've come to that awareness, they've come to that realization. And they've also reached that agreement that this is the direction that we'll go. And
so
I think
whoever is coming in has got to, the people will ensure that the person has it all together.
Economic
policies.
sure. You see, gone are those days, so even at the center, you see a whole lot of things that will happen in 2023. I don't want to preempt it, I'm not God. But trust me, Nigerians are beginning to be aware. Who is not feeling the pains today of the economic hardship anywhere? And you could see the way I was talking passionately, that in the nearest future, oil and gas may not play again. So do we fold our hands and sleep, and when it comes and when it dawns on us, we just wake up one morning? We don't have revenue to run the state. So we start that planning today, we start that foundation today. So we need people who will also think in that direction. And I believe Akwa Ibomites are aware of this.
You know, some of those policies and industries you've worked on, for instance, the toothpick, syringe, you have several other industries here. But the country here will have so much in terms of demand for certain things like that. I still hear people say tomorrow we still import toothpick in this country.
Sure.
So how are the states feeding into this project? Are you leveraging on that? Are you reaching out to other states to reach that demand in this country?
For today, since we are on Akwa Ibom at 35, I'll try to limit what I want to say to my own state. But trust me, what we are trying to do is just a drop. Let me take the syringe that you mentioned. In a rough estimate, Nigeria consumes like 6 billion syringes every year. 6 billion. As we are sitting here, people are dispensing syringes all over. Primary, secondary, tertiary, quaternary healthcare services in this country. Even in the private dispensing chemists, people are using syringes every minute as we are sitting here. So records show that Nigeria consumes not less than 6 billion syringes every year. And how many do I produce from my factory? 450 million. Our target is to increase it to 1 billion. Even with that, there will still be a whole lot of market gap. Look at how many factories that we have in Nigeria. This is a country of 200 million people. So we still need to do a whole lot to get to that point. It might not necessarily be government. It could be incentives to others to actually come in. And that's why I feel sad whenever I open and I read from the newspapers or from anywhere some of the factories that are closing. Take, for example, when we were trying to get this out for our 35th anniversary, you could see a whole lot of, textile factories that I used to know before I left the private sector. So many of them, when I called, they say, look, we've closed down, we've left. Why? They count all sorts of reasons. And tell me tomorrow, if you give me the opportunity to be at the center, because I've dealt with these people before, I understand their problems, I understand what it takes, then it will be easier for me to call them back and say, hey, come, look, these were your problems, and let's see what we can do. And let me tell you one incentive we're also trying to do here. Because I know power is a critical, demand for these people to survive. As of today, as a state, we generate 150 megawatts of electricity every day. And we don't even have the transmission line to evacuate.
To the national grid?
No, we don't have transmission line. That's what I'm saying. We
can't even evacuate.
We can't evacuate. At times when we try to evacuate 70 megawatts out of 115, the line will drop. So what are we trying to do now is we're trying to see how we can actually make use of a whole lot of that within these industries, which is what informed us building the substation at that the Vice President commissioned. Even with that, we still need a lot of collaboration, more association with TCN. And we generate, we don't have license to distribute. We can't even come near transmission. And so you could see a whole lot of capacity wasted. How can I generate 150 megawatts of electricity every day? And then my target was to do power for all, for my people. So you cannot actually say, oh, Udom, you did not deliver on your power for all. I've made bold steps. I applied for a license for distribution to set up a utility company as a state and own a distribution company, which is something very simple. This is elementary basis of management. But Chamberlain, I tell you for how many years now, the license is not yet out. I've set up the structure, I've set up the framework. Okay, I build a substation. I hope you know by the way we are structured, even that substation, once I finish building, I hand over to TCN because I don't control transmission. So you could see when I started my opening statement, there are a lot of things you have, great ideas, but because you don't control certain policies from start to finish, it becomes a little bit difficult for you to get it implemented. So these are things that we could have been, because I get challenged when people just talk about power as if it's rocket science. My brother, they are not like that. We are flaring gas in Nigeria. Anywhere you turn around, mind you, Akwa Ibom controls 36.1% of gas reserves of this country.
Your Excellency, before you go to...
I understand we need to go to break.
Okay.
But we'll return and talk a little bit more about that, and of course we'll get his reaction to what's happening within his party as well. We'll find out how will he respond to all of this. But just give us a moment. We will be back.
I'm not stalking him. I'm about to serve better.
Welcome back to Sunrise. Today we're coming to you live from Uyo in Akwa Ibom State, where they're commemorating the 35th anniversary of the creation of the state, and it's 7 years plus for His Excellency, who we're with here this morning, Udom Emmanuel, Governor of Akwa Ibom State. While you were speaking about TCN, we know government has said, look, the narrative is, look, we're not sure we should privatize TCN because of the security implication.
Correct.
But what do you think about that?
You see, the problem we're having in this part of the world is that we don't have a clear model of what stands for us. At times, if we want to implement a model, IMF model, this model, that model, in those early days when we were much younger, there's something they used to call environment-induced diagnostic processes or models or procedures, depending on the environment of usage. What that means is you take probably the best ideas you're getting from somewhere, add to your socio-cultural and, you know, what will fit your environment, the style of your people, the mindset of your people, and blend it and come up with something that can work. So we cannot outrightly say, even the ones we privatize, what structure did we set up in place? Today, the structure of distribution company that were set up cannot deliver. So why can't we come back and say, no, we didn't do it right? Can we get it right this time? I keep comparing electricity with telecoms. Your driver can forgo his lunch this afternoon to buy a recharge card or to recharge his airtime. Let me use it that way. And meanwhile, as we are talking here, a lot of our systems are running at home using electricity. But now our telephone, we're not incurring any cost because we are not using it. It's idle, especially in terms of voice. Except we set up something in terms of data that is running. So it means that there's a lot more in terms of value that we could derive if we can get it right under electricity. So, and I keep saying so, everything that we need, God has provided for us. Number one thing that is needed everywhere in the world they are looking for is gas. And here we are throwing the gas away. So there's a whole lot that could be done. These things are not rocket sciences. And at times I feel, not that we don't know what to do. It's probably, I don't know where I cannot say it, but I think it's the right time we just look at some of the models that we are using. If those models cannot work here, let's use a model that can work for us as a people.
Are you going to try perhaps a gas-powered industrial estate or to support the industries, the flour mills and the rest?
Answer is yes. Today, you know, the gas processing plant that feeds Ibom Power is located here in Eket. So we have gas processing plant already with the little done by, you know, a corporate organization. But can you ponder over time the installation of ExxonMobil in Eket QIT terminal had processed over 15 billion barrels of crude all over the years, the highest in the whole world. The question there is, what has happened to the gas that gave birth to over 15 billion barrels of crude oil over the years by ExxonMobil? Today, NSIA had to almost like beg ExxonMobil to bring only 400 million scf from offshore, onshore, so that we can use for ammonia fertilizer plant in Ikorosi and probably give part to our industrial park that we want to build. I still believe, and if ExxonMobil, in ExxonMobil NNPC, ExxonMobil joint venture, Nigeria owns 60%. I still believe over the years something could have been done about it. I don't want to go deeper into that. I mean, I have a lot to say, but I won't say that here. I mean, I can say that very well in, you know, where like minds meet. So I'm still trying to challenge our minds that if we solve this issue of power, we'll go a long way, even in our economic development. A lot of factories are closing. A lot of industries are shutting down. They say, look at the price of diesel today. How many of them can afford? I mean, if not that we still subsidize PMS, how many of even Berbers could buy? I mean, with the cost of PMS. So there's a whole lot to be done. And we've done so much paperwork, so much conferences, so much seminars, talk so much about power, and a little is being done. And there are a few things that need to be done. There are certain things that can actually make people succeed. How come? I mean, I like to give example, and I'm not afraid to say so. Whenever I talk to my DG of AKBC, I say, look, you also own a television company that is older than channels. How come channels today, every day, they flash at my face 15 times, best television company. And you, with my support and with my backing, and you are older than channels, why should they beat you?
Trade secrets.
So, I mean, absolutely. So, which means that there are certain things that can make things move, make things work. Do we know these things? The answer is yes. Why are we not implementing them? I cannot answer. So, let me not deal so much into that because that's outside my control. Bring things to where my control is, because you were talking about factories, industries, and so on.
So where your control is, Your Excellency. Before we exit power, your metering solutions company, let's look at that, which has a 3 million installed capacity.
Correct.
As a follow-up to Chamberlain's poses on power, how are you leveraging on that to fill the gap of this estimated billing system? And I believe charity should begin at home, but there are reports that there are also concerns that there are estimated billing concerns in Akwa Ibom State, and there's need for distribution of prepaid meters to fill that gap.
Thank you. Excellent question. I started by the frustration of the fact that I've applied for a utility license to distribute power over the years have not been given. What was my vision in supporting the metering solutions company? Was line in line. Right now, today, it might interest you to know, I buy all the transformers in this state for the distribution, PHEDC. Still, we generate electricity, we bring the electricity to town. They don't take it. They don't take electricity, and what can I do? They say it's a limited liability company, it's not under my control. So I can't do anything. They keep changing CEOs every now and then, and they are not delivering. So today I generate, we bring the electricity to the substations, and they don't take it and give to people. So the essence, what would make that work? Two, one, the federal government must come up with a policy and buy meters from local metering company. That's number one. Number two, give me a utility license. I will not sell that meter to anybody, because I will fix that meter in every home, free, knowing fully well. When we started the telecoms, I still come back to that. We were billing per minute. Even if you talk for 3 seconds, they said, no, it's 1 minute. Until Glo came and started per second billing. Everybody now said it's possible. Today, if you give me a utility license to do distribution with my metering company, I promise you I won't sell meter. I'll fix this meter in people and then pay as you earn. But at the same time, Africa is not easy to develop. I must also confess that to you. It is only in Africa that I will install a transformer. People will go and drain the oil from the transformer. The transformer will run dry. After 3 days, it will get burnt. It's only in Africa you put low tension or high tension, cables, and then you wake up one morning, you don't see those cables again. So we also have our own problems.
High tension cables?
Not high tension, the low tension, distributive cables. Even the armored cables that links the substations into the transformers and so on. They get vandalized overnight. You can only find that in Africa. So we also have our peculiar problems. I keep telling people, at times when we blame leadership, let's also look at the followership. What do we go through as leaders? These are things we don't come out to tell people. And you can imagine, and it's only also here, somebody would just come and carry a whole transformer. But we must also try to see what are the root causes of that and then try to solve it. But that will not deter us to doing what we need to do. So today, I could only leverage on probably that vision if I have a license to have a utility company, set up my distribution company, and then I'm assured to a large extent that I can sign certain level of service level agreements with TCN that, look, I've generated, I've built substations, support me with ABCD, and then I will deliver so much in terms of revenue to you, then I will earn this. Believe me, if I put this metering, consumption, let me say, come back to the elementary marketing 101, that you learned even in secondary school. They say consumption is a function of availability. Once these things are available, people will consume and you earn the revenue. And a whole lot will happen around it. So I don't think we'll fully derive that if we don't come back to look at some of these distribution companies. Like the one we have here, they are not servicing me at all. I buy everything for them, the cables, the transformer, even the electric poles. Even with that, take the power I've generated and give to my people. Do you know they don't do it? Do I have the powers to go and do it as a governor? The answer is no. I've not been licensed to do it.
So,
but if you license me to do it, I'll set up
yeah.
the structure that will make it work.
Are you encouraged by, I think the Senate is trying to ensure that states now can do something about electricity and not just limit it to the federal government doing a lot of those responsibility?
Not just we passing the law. You know, I keep coming back. There are a lot of things that make things work. The structure, the systems, the staffing, the style, the shared values, and so many of them that can let things work. The question is, when setting up this law, can we set up the governance structure that can enable these things work within the ambit of the law? We don't go into that level. And I believe we need to look at this and see how that can work. And also, I don't need to stand alone as a state. Take, for example, in a whole region, like, say, the South-South, we can also develop something, which was the essence of the federal government, setting up PHEDC. PHEDC came out of what we call 4-power, and 4 state governments were involved. How had that worked over time? It has not worked. So we can be on this power for over 3 years. That's why I say, let's leave this power, and when PDP takes over in 2023, we'll find a solution to this power, because we'll be in the forefront of, you know.
Everybody says when they take over, when they take
no,
over.
No, when PDP comes to power. This time around. No. You see, this time around, you can see the people that were lining up that will actually drive the economy. People that have hands-on experience on running the economy. And I can bet you will get it right. You see, I wouldn't have accepted to be the chairman of a campaign council if I've not seen the blueprint of what we want to do. You know, I'm one leader that I will not tell you, I will not tell you, vote me for ABCD. Why not use what I've done now to vote me for the future, which was my campaign slogan when I was campaigning to contest for the office of a president. I said, no, I'm not coming here to promise you I can just use a little, I can do as a sub-national, and then judge me on a larger scale. If I can replicate what I'm doing under the sub-national, at the national level, trust me, the principles are the same. We'll get it right. So I want to assure you that this time around we are fronting people who have, it's a mixed brand. I mean, you can't have a better basket than what we are trying to push for Nigerians right now. And I can assure you, if we are given the opportunity by Nigerians, we'll try and fix it. Oh, don't worry, I'm going to grant interview after the inauguration of our campaign council. Then I'm sure our candidate is trying to also unveil what we have in mind for the country, how we can restore the economy of this country. But I want to leave that for today and concentrate on Akwa Ibom.
Yes, indeed, Nigerians are raring to go with that decision from what we see. But let's now come to Ibom Air, Your Excellency, which has managed to stay afloat under the challenging global aviation environment, where you consider the high cost of aviation fuel and all of that. What's the trade secret? Is it surviving under state resources? Would the situation have been different if it was private sector managed?
Which one do you think is better now? I think it's not the name here that matters most. It's what you do under that name. Ibom Airlines is a limited liability company, 100% owned by the government through Akwa Ibom Investment Corporation. They are the owners of the shares of Ibom Air. But that's not the issue. You see, the question is, number one, what's the willpower to make it succeed? And number two, what's your knowledge on the critical success factors of a business like that? Number three, who are the people that you bring on board? You see, organizations make it or they fail because of the people. So who are the people? So by the time you put all these things together, and then you see, you know, I just asked you, how come I cannot compare my state TV with channels in terms of revenue? It's only that our people are very professional too, like you people. But we don't earn the same revenue you are earning. We don't have the number of adverts that you have. So you see, there are a lot of things involved. These are simple principles of management. And whether it's owned by the state government or it's not owned by the state government is not the issue. The question is, the people handling it, have they been able to put things in place that can make it work? I still talk about risk management. I still talk about corporate governance structure. If you look today, in terms of capitalization, you know, everything about airline, whether we like it or not, no matter the exchange rate of naira, dollar is still dollar in the international market. There's no aspect of aviation business that is run with local currency, all indexed on, on foreign currency. So that's the common denominator that we're all using. So irrespective of that, the question is, if we look at the capitalization of Ibom Air, how much is it? But the question, what the answer will be, is that we've succeeded in putting the right structure, the right systems, the right culture, the right staffing, and the right management style that can actually enable us run as a company and succeed. And if we also look at why is it successful, from the governor to the least person in that place are people that understand these critical success factors. So, it makes it easier for us. As I'm sitting here, no matter what happens, I cannot pick up a phone and then deviate from what they do there. No, I cannot do it. It might interest you to know, even as a governor, you can cross-check with the company. Even as a governor, I don't have a single person I've ever recommended for Ibom Air to hire. I've never done it. Go and check with the management, they will tell you. I don't do that. So we have our own sets, procedures, principles, and things that we have to work on. And we follow the book. And we train these people, get them exposed, also try to understand why are others succeeding. When we wanted to form, we said, look, if you go to Ethiopia, Ethiopian Airlines earn a whole lot. In fact, that's what is selling Ethiopia as a country. It's Ethiopian Airlines. How did they make it? Why do they succeed? Other airlines that have survived over the period of time, how did they succeed? That's the most important thing. Mind you, it's not just money that run an airline. It's not even an aircraft that run an airline. I still keep telling you, the best doctor you can find, or the best surgeon on earth, might not be able to run a hospital. It could be the best surgeon. The best captain you find in the cockpit might not be able to run an airline.
But is Ibom Air making profit under this stifling business environment?
You know, when you set up a business, there are a whole lot of motives of setting up a business. And that's also the problem we have in Nigeria. We are so much in a haste. You see, if you start now driving Ibom Air to make profit and so on, they will start cutting corners. So you would have asked me, based on the blueprints, based on your projections, is Ibom Air living up to those projections? The answer is they've even surpassed our projections, and I'm honest about it. You can check our books. And I think we're going to publish our accounts as soon as possible.
Speaking of checking your books, what's the cost that has gone into Ibom Air since inception?
You see, when you are talking about cost, there are two types of cost. There's a fixed cost, and there's a recurrent also expenditure. There's a flexible cost and there's a fixed cost. You see, fixed costs have gone in. Those are what I can call the capitalization. Anyway, we've capitalized. And if you also check, we formed Ibom Air at the period of recession. So as a state government, we may not have had even up to...
I asked because stakeholders believe that, your government should be more transparent in terms of how much has gone into Ibom Air since inception.
Oh, no, but we have our accounts, and then we render our accounts too. When we want to go public, like right now, whatever we want to do, we send our accounts. So our accounts are public. We publish our accounts also. Then people can also look at the accounts and then ask questions. But the question is not how much has gone into Ibom Air or not. I can shock you to let you know that as at the time we started Ibom Air, the state government did not even put in up to even, let me just be moderate, up to $5 million. I must shock you with that. You see, I keep telling people, on this program I've said so, and I'll continue to say it so that Nigerians can understand. You cannot run the destiny and the economy of 200 million people with cash. You run the destiny and the economy of 200 million people with money. And there is clear difference between cash and money. You see, in Nigeria, whenever we are talking about, capitalization and so on, everybody is just looking at cash. That's why I had to bring your attention back that, mind you, when we formed Ibom Air and they started flying, even with the first set of airplanes, that was during the period of recession. At the time where what we were getting from the federal government could barely pay our salaries. Mind you, that was a time that so many people were running 17 months, 23 months, they were not paying salaries, and wasn't an exception. And that was also the time there were bailouts to semi-area states. We did not take bailout fund as a state. And at the same time, that will show to you that it's not about money. It's about creativity, it's about ideas.
Let me quickly...
So you are not trying to push me to the point I'll tell you my trade secret also, since you've not told me about channels.
Let me quickly
How
get in this
we formed Ibom when we did not have cash. How we formed Ibom when even as a state government, it was so difficult for us to even pay salaries with the revenue from the center. But I still try to let you know, honestly. I mean, with creativity, with ideas, I think you can get a whole lot of things done. It's not... we started Ibom with basically, I mean, if I use nothing, I mean, it's relative. We started Ibom with absolutely almost nothing. When we conceived the idea, we did not have even $10, not to talk of 10 million, not to talk of $1 million. When we actually started and negotiated for those aircraft, we did not have any money. But you see, these are things over the years I've earned a living from. So if I just come and give it like that cheap into the public, when I leave office, how will you pay me for consultancy? So let me still keep certain aspects of what I know, so that when I leave office, you can still call me back to do what I've done over the years, and then consult over financial engineering, where things can get done without cash.
Let me quickly guess in this one then.
Okay.
$5 million, if that's the takeoff amount.
I said we did not have up to that.
Yeah,
okay.
But let's just assume that that's the takeoff amount. It's a nation-transforming amount. And you have acknowledged that you have not started making profits.
No, I didn't say so. I didn't say so. I didn't answer that question. Whether I'm making profit or loss, I did not.
Or not.
Yeah.
But do you think that amount could have been invested in an area of, like agriculture, for instance, that is closer to the locals and that could, you know, significantly improve their fortunes?
No, sorry, it depends on your vision about the state. We came with a flag, you know, we were flagging everywhere that we are coming to build an economy. How can you build an economy when people do not have access to you? And 3 gateways of building an economy: A, water, and land. And if you don't tackle those gateways, you've not started anything about development. Check anywhere in the world. You see, these are simple something, because when people talk about agri, how will even this agri move? How will you even bring in the expertise if they cannot access you? How can you do agri with the traditional system my grandfather and my grandmother used, and how much did it yield for them? So when people just say this, oh, even if you spend 1 million, would you have put that in agri? Agri with who? Wouldn't I bring in technology? Wouldn't I bring in people? Wouldn't I bring in skills? Wouldn't I bring in modernization into agri? How do I have access? Somebody coming to Nigeria, sitting in Lagos, he doesn't have a flight to Uyo. He doesn't know how he will get to Uyo. How will he come and bring his skills or his knowledge down here? So people must understand that the major gateways to any industrialization, development, be it agri, healthcare, education, thing, first is access. And that's why we're trying to create access by road, by water, and by air. So once we start that, is a major foundation anywhere. So that is why I say that some people really understand the critical success factors. Because once I can create that access, and mind you, even when you're talking about agriculture, this and all that, once people get access to you, people, okay, when we had the first set of investors that were interested in even our ranch, our rice mill, and also our greenhouses, the first thing they commended was that, look, the place is accessible, so they can put in money. So today we are trying to, in fact, we have a fertilizer blending plant. We are trying to set up ammonia and a bigger, you know, fertilizer. Raw material, things that you can blend to form fertilizers in Akwa. One of the major things they look at is, can we access the state? So when you're coming in for development, you don't just be a little bit myopic in thinking, oh, I just need to build. If you build school and nobody can access to bring knowledge, that school becomes a building.
Speaking about roads, Your Excellency, yeah, we see that you're doing this 10-lane road, try to create access in several other areas. But how much of indigenous engineers, how much have they benefited or leveraged on all this construction you're doing?
You know, you just hit the nail on the head. The 10-lane road that you are referring to, with rainbow fountains everywhere, is done by indigenous contractor, HENSEC Integrated Services. Is one of the legacies of this government, that we are raising these local engineers. Verini is local, Benest, HENSEC, you can name a whole lot of them. These are people who are from Akwa that we are building up. These are people from Akwa that we are making them tomorrow to be the JBs of this nation. If anybody drives on that 10-lane road today, you'll be hard-pressed to believe that that's a local contractor that had done that job. Quality job. And you see the vision of what we are doing, trying to, prepare, a proper economic flow in terms of land transportation across the state, starts right from the airport. You've talked a lot about aviation development, I'm sure. You've seen the kind of taxiway we are doing there. The taxiway we are doing is a taxiway that whenever we want to resurface the main runway, all we need to do is to move the approach light on that taxiway. It can take A220 300 series, in fact, it can even land a 777 because it's purely a runway we are running today, we are constructing today, we're calling it a taxiway. Why? Because we also have to learn. You see, what gave us that idea was, I remember when they closed the main runway in Abuja, was a major issue, almost like closing the country. We now say, look, one day, something could happen to our main runway, and we shut our people out of the rest of the world. The answer is no. Not with the kind of terminal building we are putting in there. It is the most intelligent terminal building we have in this country today, ICT compliant. It's a terminal building that when you're waiting for your flight, you might not miss anything out of your meeting, not with the current ICT. You can sit waiting for your flight, or probably if your flight is delayed, and then you still work in your office seamlessly. Highly intelligent, modern terminal building, certified by all organizations you can think of on this planet Earth. So that's why we are doing that taxiway also, in that standard.
And then that will be delivered in your time.
Oh, sure. Oh, definitely. Oh, definitely.
Terminal building.
Chamberlain, if you come by 31st of December, on your way out now, just stop and see the extent of work done. As of today, at least the escalators, a lot of things are being done there. Just stop and see how far we've gone. And you can see the taxiway. We've finished more than 80% of that job. The rest is just on that left-hand side. These things will all be delivered. But the whole issue down is, when you are coming down, it looks like a canopy when you're approaching it. When you're coming out, you enter, first of all, a 6-lane road at that point. As you enter the town, that road will take you into a 8-lane road. As you come to the center of the town, where you have all the rainbow fountains welcoming you into the city with great lightings, then circulates you 10 lanes. Exactly what you see in so many developed worlds. I mean, we copy what we see, and that's the essence of exposure. You go to a lot of developed nations, I mean, especially towards the area I'm talking about. So you come out of 6, you enter 8. Come out of 8, you enter 10. That's exactly what we are trying to do in order to get into the town. And once you come into the right, you can circulate within the town, go and play golf, Ibom icon, take you to the rest of the town into government house. You enter left, you can easily, from there, access into our second ring road 2, and then take you into the flyover that we did, 1 kilometer flyover commissioned by Obasanjo. And then you go under. Once you go under, from that place to Atlantic Ocean, over 100 kilometers, all dualized, done by Julius Berger by CCC. If you don't want to go that way, you veer off left. Dualized, that's the one Obasanjo is going to commission on the 26th. 24.3 kilometers dualized with lightings every. So even at night you drive, will still be at daytime. We'll take you straight to East-West Road. Once you get to East-West Road, then you link Port Harcourt, you link the rest of the world. So these are economically well-designed roads to take economic activities within, outside, in circulation within the state. So when you're talking about road, our road network, we don't just wake up. Apart from internal roads, that's why I commission internal roads separately. As of today, I think we've done about 113 and commission, not ongoing, and commission 113 internal roads. So those major highways are all dualized, linking up different areas. There's hardly any local government today that you won't see a construction work going on. And we're trying to link up all local government areas.
You spoke about initially that there'll be a time in this country where we will not have to depend on oil resources.
Correct.
We need to look inwards.
Correct.
So is there a target? Because can all of these things, well, clearly they can't be achieved, I mean, present-day Akwa without the resources coming from oil.
Okay.
But is there a target in the future wherein the states will be self-sufficient without necessarily depending on oil resources?
Let me take you on 2 segments on that answer. Number 1, you see, why did God give you resources? Everywhere, under our Dakada philosophy, it will let people to understand in the renewal of their minds that what you have is all that you need to get to where you want to get to. So today, what God has given me is needed to get certain things done. How well am I using what God has given me determines what God will give me tomorrow. That's number one. Then number two, I must also be slothful to think that whatsoever have a beginning might not have an end. That's why we're setting the target. Our target must also align with the world target. We are not trying to separate ourselves. If the world say, look, by 2030, your crude oil, we will only be needing gas from you, we won't need your oil. I think I read somewhere, I don't want to be misquoted, but I think I read somewhere, one of the car companies said that they've stopped manufacturing cars that are driving on petrol and diesel. So, one of the car companies, I think this week I've seen that, either they've stopped or they've set the target on when to stop. So today, the target about Akwa Ibom is also aligning with the target of the world. The world says 2030, 2032 is our target. That's why we are starting what we are starting today. That's why we are looking at what we are looking at. That's why we look at how we generate internal revenue. That's why also we believe God has given us a whole lot. You know, we have the longest shoreline in this country, 129 kilometers. It's water. Go to Singapore, it's all about water. What are we doing with that water? Which is also the third thing I wanted to talk about. What are we doing with that? So we are thinking outside the box. How can we make use of this? We cannot have 129 kilometers of the shoreline and then we don't turn it to economic value. What is there in Singapore outside that? In terms of human resources, we are also trying as much as practicable. I'm sure you can hear Akwa Ibom making names everywhere. In ICT, we are breaking barriers everywhere. So we're also trying to develop everywhere because we're also copying. There are people that don't have even half of what Nigeria has. And they are far up there. And Nigeria, we have everything. Akwa Ibom is also a place that you're coming. From January to 31st December, you have rain every month. Evergreen. We're also looking at how can we turn that, even though what we have in terms of land mass is quite small. But the little we have, what can we make out of it? So these are areas we review on daily basis, which is also the area I'm trying to talk about, that our people are getting aware that, look, we need people that can harness these resources and make our life better.
Okay.
Based on the foundation laid.
Yeah. But that will also feature when we return in just a moment, I know. But you'll talk about those, so don't go away. We'll be right back.
What would your life look like if the world revolved around you? And all you had to do was keep moving towards your goals. Would you seize every opportunity? You would, wouldn't you? And how easy would it be to level up?
Dakada Akwa Ibom own. She don't hear now. Me photo run to you fi correct pene. Dakada Akwa Ibom own. Abodo na wo bogo mo nyamu wa na mo mo konsa. Ibi kem Dakada Akwa Ibom own. E yang ni diana o. I'm telling you, every day is not the same. Today not today, no time to play. Dakadam bok, no delay. You want them now for the day. I thank the Lord for giving me a state like a baby. There is some Akwa Ibom,
to the faith of greatness. Ami Merakanda.
This is the story of a leader whose commitment to service to the people is a creed cast in concrete. When he strapped the seatbelt on the driver's seat as governor of Akwa Ibom State in 2015, Governor Udom Emmanuel included infrastructural consolidation and expansion as a critical component of his visionary blueprint for Akwa Ibom State. The ink with which he penned his plans for Akwa Ibom State never dried when he rolled up the sleeves on his two hands. Today, Akwa Ibom rolls out the drums, not just for the state's 35th anniversary, but for the capacity of Governor Udom Emmanuel to live an outsized dream for the state's infrastructure.
One of the key drivers of the economy of the world is the provision of modern infrastructural facilities. We will pursue this policy with messianic zeal. In our first term, we were able to construct over 1,000 kilometers of road across the state, and we open up the hinterlands for free flow of goods and services. We will surpass this achievement with emphasis on commercially viable economic routes.
All the roads, bridges and such related infrastructure in Akwa Ibom State are world-class projects, deserving of medals. One of the most glittering and glistening of such medals, with its shining ribbons, is the Etinan Nduniyu Road. It is not just a road, it is a vision. In fact, it can be likened to a miracle. A creative miracle of 6 lanes on a dual carriageway with 2 bridges and 3 roundabouts.
I stand to be corrected. There is no state in Nigeria you can boast of the number of construction sites as we have in Akwa Ibom. There's no such state yet. So this one, people, even a blind can see it. I just allow what we have on ground to speak for itself, and I know what we are putting on ground. I keep telling people, if what we put on ground is not more than the money we will receive, then come to meet me that day. Then it means probably your arithmetic is wrong, but my own will be right. So I think we are doing well so far. The contractors are doing well, and we're on course.
The 29-kilometer Etinan Nduniyu Road, constructed by Wizchino Engineering, WE, a Chinese firm, symbolizes.
Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. We're coming to you live from Uyo in Akwa Ibom State. They're commemorating the 35th anniversary of the state. The governor is 7 years plus in office, is winding down. We've been talking about some of the programs that has happened in his time. But today, I mean, while you spoke about a lot of those things, several questions and mindset in terms of, does that then mean that states in this country, governors in this country, can actually, to a large extent, develop or go with projects in their state such that the country doesn't have to suffer so much of this youth unemployment that we have in the country today?
Thank you, Chamberlain. Let me repeat myself a little. I think we need to look back into what we call exclusive lists. There are so many things, there's so much concentration on the center, and render the states not being able to operate very well. I'm serious about this. And if we can be sincere and leave politics aside, there's so much we can allow states to do so that those who are willing can go ahead and do them. We need to review a whole lot of what we call exclusive lists, and let's see what is happening in other places. I like reading about the economies of states and countries that are successful. I said this also, I think on Monday when I was talking to the journalist. I said during COVID, I was reading something about New York, and they were feeling so bad that the revenue they were earning during COVID dropped to over 16-point-something billion, and that they were on 19. I said, my God, this is just a state. So what makes them earn that kind of revenue? Go and look at what the composite of that revenue. I'm not comparing apple to apple now, but I'm comparing principles of how to grow an apple and also how to grow guava. I believe the principle might be the same. That's what I'm looking at. I know we are completely different economies, but what principle gives rise to that? What makes you think that I would not want to be like them? Not to talk of California, I don't even go there. The 6th largest economy in the world. So I still believe, well, we need to look at, in an economic eye, certain things that are in our constitution, which we can as well try to decentralize,
like
to make states work. I've talked about exclusive list. And, you know, some things like this that are of national issues, you don't go to the minutest detail because the understanding of everybody might not be the same. So I try not to say all. And a lot of these things, I keep promising Nigerians, we'll look at them when PDP comes in. I'm coming. Then, if we look at that, you see that it will help states a whole lot to develop. Take, for example, you know, we're talking about this power. Like today, I cannot do anything on this shoreline. Everything must go back to NPA. There are a lot of decisions I cannot take, except it goes back. For me to even bring an aircraft that is new to fly here, a whole lot of bottlenecks. Don't even want to go into that. I can bet you a whole lot of bottlenecks you need to cross. We are making it so difficult to do business. The ease of doing business is not easy. Let me put it that way. And if I can go through what I'm going through as a state government, you can imagine what a normal businessman will go through. And I keep asking people, why are you charging X amount in this country, charging us this amount? They say the climate. You know what they mean by climate there? Is the economic conditions, the business conditions. The business environment is a little bit harsh. And what makes them harsh is policy. In this power, look at the number of regulatory agencies we have on power alone. Why do we need all that? And we are the cause of our problem. We have NEC, we have this, we have that, all within the electricity. So the electricity is not even there. So what are they regulating?
Well, speaking about states, is there anything that governors, because I'm not sure people have heard governors speak about ASU strike as much as people want them to. So, and besides, this agreement that they signed with government was as far back as 2009, when your party was in power at the time. Is there anything that can be done, or governors can do, to ensure that we don't find ourselves where we are today? ASU, they can't seem to agree with government in terms of what to do, how to move forward.
Chumbilin, that's a tough question. Do you know why I say it's a tough question? Because it will lead me to say certain things I don't want to say. And I don't want to sound as if, oh, I'm saying this because I'm PDP, I'm saying this because of, you know, everything in Nigeria zeroes down to, oh, it's because it's this, it's because it's that. Coming back to ASU, I remember when we were doing a program, Bishop Coker, when Jonathan was speaking, he said even in his time, there was an ASU strike. He had meetings with them, they got it resolved, and the rest of them. But I can also tell you that even in the face of these ASU strikes, there are a lot of tertiary institutions owned by state governments that are running, that are keeping to promises. So if some of these state governments can keep to the promises with their own tertiary institutions, I think also, I believe, I don't know the pulse of the federal government, I believe they can also keep it. And another thing is, it is one thing for you to give me this glass of water. The approach also matters in everything that you do. The approach also matters. Even when you want me to come to an understanding of your predicament, approach also will come to play here. So I'm not part of the negotiating committee with ASU. So I would not exactly know. So that I don't comment on things I don't have full knowledge about, so that I don't comment strongly. And I try not to delve into matters that I don't have full knowledge of. So as of today, what they discuss in the round table, I don't have a full grasp of it. I don't want to believe on only things I read in social media or things I read in newspaper. If I'm deep in there to have a clearer understanding, I would have told you this is the issue. But it is wrong to say that governors, we've deliberated about this in governors' meeting over and over again. We've talked about this even at NEC meeting all over. So ASU strike is something that features in every meeting that governors hold. But the question is, we are just a subnational. And ASU is totally, the ASU strike, this one they are holding, is purely under the national. So we cannot just come and usurp their own powers. I hope you know it. We can only try to mediate, and I think the Governors Forum have done that over and over again. And we've tried to see how this can be resolved. And it affects us a whole lot. There's something people must also know. The governors are the people at the grassroots. How many people go to Abuja there are millions of people in all the states that have never reached Abuja before. How many people can Abuja take? So we are the main people. Everything that happens even in the federal government, the blame is on the state governor. People don't know the difference when it comes to state, whether that thing has to do. There's economic hardship that you have a little, that can influence it. The whole blame will be on the state governor. So, but to say that state governors are so interested in this, and it affects us directly, because whatsoever comes out of that negatively, the first impact is on the state. So we are so much affected, and if there's anything that could be done, honestly, we believe the center can still get this thing resolved, so that, and who are these children? They are all our children. Let's even forget about the ASU strike. Chamberlain, a lot of these people in the universities, all of us, parents, who are paying their school fees, they are our children. And how can a child enter university and he doesn't know when he's going to graduate? Meanwhile, the same people, in the same country, will go to a private university. The day they enter, they know the day they are leaving. But in public universities, they don't know. So we are worried. We actually want this to come, let there be a resolution of this matter as soon as possible.
Well, these students, they are in states, so we hope that governors can apply some pressure, on the federal government.
We are actually doing that. Yeah. We're actually doing that. We're actually also talking, we cannot go directly. I keep saying so. Nigerian Governors Forum is deeply involved in this negotiation. Deeply involved. And we are negotiating, and we are hoping that very soon the two parties should be able to agree.
5 minutes to go. But, so we need to just ask you.
Monday?
Well, your friend, your colleague, Governor Nyesom Wike, and some of his other colleagues and some other members of your party yesterday said that they're pulling out of the campaign council, which you chair. I know you said you'll speak about campaign council when it's inaugurated, but it's all over the place today. So what if they announce that they will not support the PDP, they'll support another political party? How would your party respond?
Chamberlain, I listened to the newspaper review, and I discovered that a lot of attention given to PDP, crisis, this and that and that. And I have one policy. Certain things I believe are things that could be done in a house. I don't take them outside. This is a family business. And you mentioned Nyesom Wike is my brother. You all know that. So, and I agree as a party. Do you know one thing about politics? Let's leave PDP aside. One thing I discovered about politics and life, people should try to do what they say they will do. That's the cause of some of the problems. If I say I will do this, I will do B if A happens, let me keep to that. If I say I will do B if C happens, let me also keep to that. So I think it's not about mentioning people's name, this one, that one, that one. Everybody has a right to express his own views the way he wants. Everybody is not the same. So we don't try to look at individuals. What we are trying to look at is PDP is a family. If we have issue as a family, we'll come back and resolve those issues as a family. So don't expect me now to take the whole, this is what we are going to do, this is what we are going to do. I can assure you we'll resolve this problem. And any of the parties, thank God, they say this is what we want. This party say this is what we want. We can always reach an agreement. To me, I believe we'll do that. The campaign, as I said, we'll flag that off on the 28th. Once we're inaugurated as a campaign council, and then we'll try to see what we can do. But believe me, we'll resolve these issues. These are not high mountains that is so difficult to climb. What all the parties want is so simple. But it's only, when newspapers are reporting, they will sensationalize the whole matter.
But it's been on for months.
It's allowed. See, let me also tell you one thing. If you lose a mother and people don't let you cry, you bottle up the emotions. You never can tell. So at times you also allow people air their views. It's good. And also try to listen to people. So I think we should develop listening ears and listen to people and listen to complaints and so on and do something about it. That's why I'm assuring you that there's time for everything. That was the time for everybody to air their own views, their grievances and so on. Then there will be a time we'll come back home and say, okay, we've heard you. Let's do A, B, C, D.
Your
But
Excellency.
whether we'll resolve this, the answer is yes. It's a family affair. We'll resolve it.
Your Excellency, in going forward, sometimes you may have to go backward. I promised myself I'll ask you this question. Your friend, Governor Nyesom Wike, had said just after the primaries that some southern governors betrayed him. Do you perhaps fall into that category? What was your role during the primaries? Because you were also an aspirant.
See, I contested an election. Election I contested, I can't come back and say certain things. That's my personal style. It can't be because of politics. You change my lifestyle like that overnight. Mind you, politics came to meet some of us with some threats that we have as human beings and also as leaders. So today, you asking me about the election I contested, I think it wouldn't be nice, because even the leadership book that I read every day, it said, remember ye not the former things, behold I do a new thing. So if God himself will tell me, remember ye not the former things, behold I do a new thing, who am I for you to want to take me back to former things that God is telling me not to remember, that he wants to do a new thing? I'm interested in the new thing. That's why I say it's a family affair. We'll come back and chart a new course that we can win election in 2023, and I'm sure we'll win. So don't worry. I mean, people are just so much interested. This, that. Leave us alone.
But what's your relationship with him now?
Excellent. We are brothers. Excellent.
Are you prevailing on him to reconsider?
Brothers don't come and discuss what
camp?
is inside their bedroom to outsiders. Why do you want to know what we discuss?
It's important. It's material.
No, I thought when I said we are
conversation.
I thought when I said we are brothers, you should be satisfied with that. How can two brothers discuss something inside their father's house and then come and say that outside? It's wrong now. We can't do that.
But isn't that part of what's causing the rift? Because two brothers discussed. One said he was going to do something.
Were you
the
there?
Didn't do it.
Were you there?
One of the brothers said
No, were you there? It also depends which brother. You know, there's half brother, and there's full brother.
But they're brothers.
And there's blood brother, and there's a brother-in-law. So I'm saying this is my blood brother. So what blood brothers discuss inside, they don't take it outside.
But Your Excellency, if you were blood brothers, full brothers, whatever capacity of brothers, aren't you supposed to be at that meeting where they took their decision?
Which decision?
By his right hand.
Which decision?
That they were going to withdraw from the campaign council. We didn't see you there.
No, don't worry about that now. I mean, you see, I've told you something here. We sensationalize matters a whole lot. Let me also say something here. You see, what we try to do is we try to box individuals to our own lifestyle. It cannot work like that. We're all adults, so we know what is good for us, we know what is right for us. So allow people to air their views. This is always a problem. But don't also ignore people, which is also the problem we're having. That's why I'm saying that we cannot, if we must win election in 2023, we cannot ignore anybody. We need to go back and carry everybody along. It's very necessary. And I promise you, we are not going to ignore any dissenting voice. I mean, that clearly we will not. Because you see, at times we just see issues and we believe that issue will go away if we ignore it. No, not at all. You don't ignore issue and believe the issue will go away. This is one thing we will not ignore. We'll take it headlong and we'll resolve it. Okay, be satisfied with that.
That comment from the presidential candidate appears as though he says they will be moving on, whether or not they pull out. So
but I read, no. But you see, I read what he wrote. That's why I say at times certain things are sensationalized. I don't know whether you have the script of what he wrote.
Yeah, we have.
And did you see that phrase?
No, he says it's,
no, did he write? No, hold on. No, hold on. Did he write that we'll move on? Because I didn't see it anywhere. I can read the script for you.
But his comment appears definitive when he says that the removal of the national chairman has to follow the Constitution.
But what could he have said? He's a law-abiding citizen. He said, let's follow the Constitution. That's as simple as that. But also, let me leave PDP alone, leave everything about politics alone. Let me also say something. I think the earlier as a country we keep to our wards and our provinces, the better will be for everybody. Certain things are lawful, but not all things are expedient. It could be lawful that I must sit down here as Udom Emmanuel, as a governor, but it could be expedient for me to do certain things because of the life of 7.9 million people. I mean, I'm coding my expression here. So the earlier we get to that as a people, the better for everybody. Things are lawful, but not all things are expedient. So let's look at those things that are expedient for peace sake. and for success and for prosperity. And if it calls for that, at times, I don't like judging people by my character and my behavior and what I believe in. But I believe somebody like me, if I know, even as lawful as that thing could be, if it is expedient for the interest of peace and for us to move forward, and for the interest of everybody, I think I can take certain actions. And I believe those actions will come to play very soon.
Well, Victor here says we should ask you, what are you doing to settle the land and water dispute between the people of Eket and Ibom that is currently brewing so it doesn't boil over?
These are things I was saying.
Did you want peace too?
Yeah, no, but if people say currently brewing, Chamberlain, I think if there's one state that we thank God for peace is this state. I was asked in an interview, I say, if you are a governor for 7 years, what would you like to be known for? I say, I would like to be known for things money could not buy. I don't want to be known for things money could buy, because it can easily be, you can easily attach monetary value to it. And what are those things money could not buy? My Dakota philosophy, the renewal of our people's mind, the peace we enjoy in the state. Let nobody make no mistake and say that we've not enjoyed peace in this state. We've enjoyed peace. So if people out of certain sentiments are trying to, stoke issues when they are not, of course, the law will take its course. We don't joke with peace here. Every single person, we even had to set up what we call maintain peace movement. Took it to every single local government, every unit, every ward, to let people know that we can compromise any other thing, but not peace. Because where there's no peace, there's no development. So if anybody is trying to stoke that, certainly we'll take that on, because we cannot compromise about
Isn't that
peace.
there's no issue here?
No, you see, as a governor, you need to understand there's a difference between information and intelligence. A governor should not act on any information, else you misfire. You act on intelligence. So I take decisions based on intelligence. I don't take decisions based on information. So what that person is doing, let him come and review my own intelligence report. It could be different from the information that he's getting. And we are going to take decisions based on intelligence, not based on information. So I think that will help us to take the right decision. Not if anybody passes any information to you, before you sift out that information, whether it's correct or not, it could take you a whole lot. But if you are acting on intelligence, I think you are likely going to 80% of the time get it right. But my intelligence report could be slightly different. And let them also know that we will not, I keep warning people, we will not compromise the peace we are enjoying for any reason. So we are living as a people in harmony, in unity, and the state is moving forward. So if people just, because of land, this, that, and mind you, the issue of land started even right from the old Bible, from the Old Testament, and it will still continue. So certain land quibbles might not necessarily disrupt. When it gets to that point, of course, we'll know what to do. And you don't discuss the issue of security. But I could hear you say that you have just a few minutes to go. I know.
No, we don't have any more.
No, but I just,
time up.
Man, I just want to use this platform once again. First of all, to appreciate my people. Chamberlain, I have good, excellent support from my people, especially the youths, the fathers in faith, the elders, the women, everybody, even Akwa Ibomites in diaspora. At times I'm overwhelmed with the love and the support I'm getting from my people. That's why I keep assuring them I'll work to the last second I was voted into office. And one governor, I don't even intend to go on holidays. I want to work as much as we can, because it is the country that what takes a little effort in other places takes you 20 times that effort, especially with the current situation. So I really want to thank my people, and I really want to tell all of them congratulations. 35 years, we are still growing. Okay. By the time we get to a certain level, only God knows that we would have arrived at the promised land. But you did not even allow me to talk a whole lot about the healthcare, the education, all the industries we've cited.
But we can always have another
a situation where other factories are closing, but they're opening here. Oh, sure.
From you subsequently. So anything for the
well, since you don't give me much time today, I'm going to do a media chat.
Tomorrow,
I'm going to do a media chat, I think on 5th of October, either 3rd or so, either 2nd of October, but I'll publicize that so that I can have control of my time. In that case, I can speak for 4 hours and let my people know I appreciate and I love them. Congratulations, Akwa Ibom. I love you all. Thank you. God bless you.
As well today, we thank you all for watching. We've come to you live from Uyo in Akwa Ibom State. I'm Chamberlain, so have a good one.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for sharing your time with us. I am Bukola Samuel Wemimo. Bye for now.
A sharp vision with a stretch commensurate with the length of the road. That aptly captures the visionary disposition of Gov Udom Emmanuel in his well-thought-out initiative of the road project. With 2 cable-adorned bridges at Ekpenukpa in Etinan and Bok in Ona, respectively, like the strong links in chains and roundabouts that add aesthetics and architectural value